Hey everybody, it's George here with the WRX Property Group. Today we're sitting down and chatting with Melissa Bowman of the Victoria Park Neighbourhood Association. How are you doing today, Melissa?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about the history of the Victoria Park neighborhood.
Well, the Neighborhood Association has been around since 1974, but the neighborhood itself is one of the older neighborhoods in the city, and it's a mixed community. It's got a lot of single detached homes, but there's also some medium to high-rise buildings in it, as well as the main selling feature, of course, would be Victoria Park right in the middle of the neighborhood.
Yeah, it is a fantastic area, and a lot of people do enjoy the park in the summertime. So you said the association formed in 1974.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how many members you have and some of the goals of the association.
Sure. The members are basically everybody who lives within our boundaries. So it's an open membership, and we represent sort of everybody who lives within those boundaries. And right now is actually kind of an exciting time for us because we're engaging in a neighborhood action plan, which is part of the city's Love My Hood neighborhood strategy. And what that means is we're trying to identify as a board what we believe are the goals and wishes and hopes for the neighborhood by the neighbors who live in the area. And so we're trying to identify what their goals are for the area and how we might best be able to support making those things happen.
Okay, perfect. So is this a survey that's happening, or how do people give their opinion on what their goals are for the
We're
neighborhood?
trying to engage in a number of different ways to reach as many people as possible. So we do have an online survey, which people can find just at our website. And we've also done a hard copy survey that we've delivered to all of the homes in the neighborhood. But the most fun way we are trying to engage is we had a street party during the Labor Day long weekend where we had part of the Henry Sturm Greenway we sort of blocked off and had a bit of a party there with free ice cream and music and games and crafts and that type of thing, as well as an opportunity for people to vote on which priorities they think are most important to them, and also identify if we're missing anything, if we're on the right track, and that type of thing.
Awesome. Sounds like you guys had a good time.
We did.
Excellent. So, tell me a little bit more about what the neighborhood association kind of does day to day and what you do to try to achieve some of your objectives.
Sure. There's a few different goals that we have. Basically, we want our neighbors and our residents in the area to feel engaged with the neighborhood. So some of the things we do are just providing ways for people to stay connected to things that might impact them. So a connection to our ward counselor, and he often writes letters for us for the newsletter, and we try to provide information that the city is involved in certain things that may impact our neighborhood, such as the REIN study, which is the residential intensification for established neighborhood study, which is definitely something that would impact our residents. So we're definitely an information sharing vehicle, but we also want to engage people in other ways. So we have events throughout the year. We're coming up after Halloween. We'll have our annual Pumpkin Palooza, where everybody is encouraged to bring down their jack-o'-lanterns and bring them down to the park, and we meet after dark and light all of the pumpkins, and just have a little parade with the pumpkins, which is kind of fun. And then, we're just trying to identify are there areas that we could also work on in the neighborhood. So we've identified a little section in the park that's maybe not used by a lot of people outside of the neighborhood, and we're trying to animate that space a little bit. So 2 years ago, we put in a food forest, which is sort of an alternative to community gardens, which are in high demand, but those focus on individual plots, whereas food forest is a section of the park where trees, fruit-bearing trees grow, herbs and edible plants are there, and people are encouraged to use those as they are welcome to. So yeah, and we're looking at also getting a little library in that space, maybe a bench, and a community board, those types of things.
Wow, that sounds awesome, and sounds like you have a lot on your plate, eh?
We do indeed.
So, in your opinion, what makes the Victoria Park neighborhood a great place to live in?
Oh, that's a good question. I think its closeness to downtown is lovely. One of the features that we really tend to focus on in our area is its walkability. There's a lot of things that are close by, and if they're not close by, there's a number of transit routes that are very accessible. So that's definitely a highlight of the area. You can't not mention the park. That's clearly a benefit. It's been referred to as the jewel in the crown of the area kind of thing, because it's a lovely gathering space. It's such a unique thing to have such a great park right in your own neighborhood. And I think there's a lot of diversity. We're really seeing that in the last number of years. We've had the opportunity to work with Reception House, which is right in our neighborhood. 2 years ago, we had our Family Day event in February, and we were able to bus in 70 youth who were newly arrived to the country, and they were able to experience tobogganing and skating and hot chocolate for the first time. So we love seeing that type of thing as our neighborhood changes and develops in new ways. So it's pretty exciting.
Wow, so there's a great sense of community in the neighborhood and welcoming
sure.
in all the new Canadians and people that have been living there for a while. And
exactly. We've got residents who have been in the neighborhood basically since they were born, and now they've got their children and their grandchildren in the area, and that's really great to see as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So for people that might be thinking of maybe moving to the Victoria Park area, is there anything that they should know or keep in mind?
What kinds of things do people think about? I'm not sure.
Well, I guess the community events are important, and and is it a friendly neighborhood? Is it safe for children? The schools in the area?
Sure. There are right within our boundaries. We don't actually have a school, but the closest school is JF Carmichael, which a lot of the neighborhood children attend, which is a great school. I believe it has French immersion. And it's got a really diverse population. They have lots of different languages that they speak there, so that's really great to see as well. Yeah, and again, we're sort of a unique space because the park takes up so much of our neighborhood. We don't have some of the things that a lot of neighborhoods do. A lot of things are on the periphery, so we don't even have a Tim Hortons technically right within our boundaries. But we have lots of really unique coffee shops in walking distance and that type of thing. So it's kind of a unique space in that some of those things, Walmarts and big box stores and some of those things aren't quite as close by as they are in some other neighborhoods, but then you get to see all of these really unique independent coffee shops and restaurants and stores. It feels like a really great place to explore. So we've been here myself for over 7 years now, and I feel like I still come across new places that I didn't really know existed, which is kind of a fun thing about the neighborhood.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of hidden gems in that part
exactly.
of town. Fantastic. So, tell me a little bit about your plans for the future for the Victoria Park Neighborhood Association, and where you'd like to see the neighborhood be in the coming years.
Well, that's kind of what this neighborhood action plan is all about, and our board has some ideas about that, and we're really seeking out feedback from our neighbors because we want to make sure that our plan is reflective of what the neighbors actually want. So some of the ideas we came up with were we want to continue engaging people. We wondered if one of the ways of doing that well is through having community boards in the neighborhood where people can put up messages and items for sale and notifications from the city, that type of thing. So that was one idea. We wondered about expanding the food forest area. Right now it's on the small side, but we would love to see that area grow. People are still learning where it is and what food forests are about, so we'd like to expand on that. The City of Kitchener is working on promoting urban forestry initiatives. We've identified that as one of the possibilities for us to partner more with them to highlight issues with the tree canopy. One of the benefits of living in such a mature neighborhood is that the tree coverage is amazing, but there's also a number of streets who are facing trees that are nearing the end of their lives. And so what does that look like to ensure that you maintain that tree canopy that so many people appreciate about mature neighborhoods? And there's one more on there about safety in crossing. So there are some crossing streets. There are some busy streets on the periphery of our neighborhood. So we're looking at possibly painting a crosswalk across West Ave, because that's a main crossing point for school kids who are coming from that side of the park to get over to JF Carmichael. And they've just noticed how fast traffic goes, how much traffic there is, and we were wondering if painting a crosswalk there might help bring drivers' attention to that space as a space where children are crossing.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that the area is nice and safe there, especially in those busier intersections, because
Exactly.
people can get carried away a little bit. Perfect.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like us to pass on to our audience?
Well, I just know that for us, and as I've spoken to other people in the neighborhood, we were coming from a suburban neighborhood, but we were finding that we were spending a lot of time downtown. There's no shortage of events happening, especially sort of in festival season in the park. So we were finding that we were coming downtown a lot. We were doing things with, King Street is very revitalized in the last number of years, and it's a lovely place to spend time too. And so we finally thought, why don't we actually just move there, because it's such a vibrant and diverse community. And I didn't really touch on that. One of the other strengths of the neighborhood is in any day of the week in the summer, you can walk through the park and there's always something happening, whether it's a big event like craft beer and rib fest, or blues fest, or even just a bunch of neighborhood kids from a reception house who are playing a game of soccer in the commons. There's always something going on in the park, and it just feels like a really vibrant and dynamic area.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts with us on your neighborhood. It definitely sounds like a great place to be, and I certainly wish you the best of luck with all those upcoming projects, as I mentioned.
Perfect. Thanks for reaching out to us and for your interest in the neighborhood. And